there are some lies in our science books. Taught it for 15 years. Even though I'm not teaching it anymore, I still like the study. It's so many neat things to learn. We're going to cover some of that tonight.
Perception is being managed. We are being steered and guided by a hidden hand.
The whole world has been duped by the media that is not real.
Smart thinking, possible time traveler, smart thinking.
That night, boom, contact memory.
And then, Alex, if you don't agree, you'll be sent to a re-education camp.
Just because I'm old doesn't mean I've lost my touch with the ladies.
A lot of people here tonight felt like they lost. You know why?
Now, experts are suggesting that we're in a golden age of shape-shifting reptilian sightings. Now, why is that?
I was, and still am, a huge conspiracy guy. I literally ran out of new tin hat topics to research.
It was most definitely not capable of melting steel.
Then I would be a crackpot if I thought that was the case.
Thought that was the case.
Welcome to the Hypothetical Institute, a podcast about conspiracies.
My name is Luke.
I'm Cam. And Robbo, we don't have a Salty with us, but we're back.
No Salty again. But yeah, we are back. It's been a while.
It has been a while. I'm not sure how much of this we discussed on the main show versus on the Patreon show. You moved countries to open a brewery. Your town then proceeded to be underwater.
No, not fully underwater. It did flood twice.
Just all of the roads.
Yeah, we were cut off from town for a short period there. But, I mean, also moving country to start a brewery in a very small town is a very stressful situation. So I've been working 7 days a week at the moment.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit tired. Don't really have the time to dedicate to my pals, the audience, and my pals Cam and Salty. But now I feel like
have still had more time than Salty.
What do you mean?
Who isn't even here?
Yeah, yeah. More time than Salty, yes. But no, I feel like also it's good for me to free up some headspace that's not thinking about the brewery and thinking about fake martial artists,
which is what we're talking about today. Yeah. Robbo, when you said let's talk about fake martial artists, I don't know. I sort of had this idea in my head of like an Andrew Tate sort of figure.
Yeah.
And then Andrew Tate was in the news.
Yes.
For kidnapping someone or something.
Yeah. I don't know why you're laughing at that. It was pretty horrific, I think, for sex trafficking.
Yeah, Andrew Tate we've talked about before. He's like is he like a hard Cockney type? Is he Cockney? No, he's like a hard man. Yeah, he's a British hard man. And he
was an MMA fighter, and I think legitimately good.
I think if you look up toxic masculinity in the dictionary, there would be like, firstly, it would be two separate words. You'd have to look in the T section and the M section. That's not how a dictionary works.
And these days, they just leave in phrases and stuff. You know, you see the word of the year, and they're like, "Oh, the word of the year is goated with the sauce." And you're like, "That's not a word. It's many words."
If you had a modern dictionary that had toxic masculinity as a word in it,
yeah, like
I suppose a dictionary so modern might just have a photograph as the definition, but I still feel like it would be like adverb.
Yeah.
when you do too much masculinity for your own good, they'd still have a definition. But like a super modern dictionary, like a dictionary for idiots, would have a picture of Andrew Tate under the definition of toxic masculinity.
So I've tweeted through the Hypothepod account some Andrew Tate short videos. I used to watch not a reasonable amount, but I'd watch a bit of his YouTube channel. And the kind of things he would say is one of them was him talking about water and how he hates seeing
if you drank water, were you a little bitch?
No, not
if
that.
If you didn't drink
Almost.
water, you were a little bitch.
No, it's way more complicated, but not as complicated at all. Somehow. He said he hates seeing people with bottles of water because, like, why are you carrying it around for and having little sips like a little bitch?
All right, you needed to be having big gulps.
You should get your water, achieve your goals and accomplish your missions by drinking it all in one go. And then, in case that leaves your hands free when you're going about your day, in case you need to punch someone in the face or slap a girl's ass.
Yeah. Now, he also had a thing about salt and pepper, didn't he?
Yeah, that's I think about this one quite a bit.
Think he felt he could push it?
What?
He wanted to push it? Was that the salt and pepper thing?
No, I think so, yeah. But
that's just a little salt and pepper joke.
Oh, okay.
I think
you're doing there. Sorry.
I'm
sorry. I'm trying to unpack the logic of Andrew Tate.
And I'm trying to do salt and pepper jokes.
Yeah, and I wasn't in that headspace.
I think his thing was that salt was manly and pepper wasn't, or it may have been the other way around.
No, he wasn't having pepper, but he was at a level of salt. I can't remember the example he gave, but he was at a high level of salt, and he gave an example of how high his salt level was. And he said then he wondered why he wasn't having pepper, and can he say he's as tough as he is without having any pepper or something? And now he has a lot of pepper, and that was it wasn't even a metaphor or anything either. It was just him deciding to eat more pepper.
Am I afraid of a bit of pepper on my food? No, I love spicy food. I eat hot sauce, Tabasco like water. I just never used to really use the pepper. It was always just about the salt, didn't care about the pepper. So I'm not afraid of pepper, I'm not afraid of spice. So why did I not have the pepper? And then I used to think, maybe he's right. How am I gonna fuck all this pussy without pepper? I'm out here, lone soldier, one of the last alphas that remains in the world, with harems of females begging for my attention. And I've got to fucking lay down dick daily. Literally, each day I wake up, I got a list on my phone, got a work list and a pimp list. I'm like, who am I fucking today? What work am I doing today? Do this, fuck her, do this, fuck her, do this, stay hers. Like, it's straight organized. How am I gonna fuck all those girls without pepper? So if you're sitting there watching this going, how do I get like Tate? How do I fuck with my girls like Tate? How do I get money like Tate? I want a Lambo, a Bentley, an Aston, and a Ferrari, and 10 girlfriends. How does he get to spend 20 grand a week in the club? I want to be like him. Let me ask you a question. Do you eat salt and pepper, or do you only eat salt? Think about it.
And like, look, I'm not going to lie. There's times in my life that I've gotten quite into pepper and been like, fucking pepper on everything. Let's pepper this baby up. And then, you kind of forget about it. And then you start using it again. And that's just purely because I like the flavor of pepper. He was trying to equate it with wanting to sleep with more woman or something by having pepper.
Having this conversation, Luke, reminds me of watching these videos, and as it went on, the word pepper stops having any meaning through repetition, and I'm experiencing that now as well.
So just if you search Twitter for at Hypothepod Tate, there's a thread of all these kinds of videos, and I don't think we've done them justice.
No.
But
at any rate, that's not what we're talking about, though.
No, so he's a real martial artist,
but a fake guy.
But a pretty fake guy, and he does a whole lot of I think he does like classes and stuff, but he made his money off webcams, like porn cams, and I think he's sex trafficking women for these cams. I mean, he's clearly one of the most awful people you could meet. And then, even without the sex trafficking, and then that's just the awful icing on an awful cake.
It's sort of weird because he has this confected persona that makes him seem like an asshole, but you're like, oh, that's all fake. But then it was all real. He was an asshole.
Yeah. He's one of these astounding people. You watch his stuff and you're like, oh, this is clearly a character or a bit. Like it's almost I think you should leave character or something. But it's not. It's who he is as a person. There's one where he says like he doesn't have any friends.
Yeah. And that's very believable. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, no. And he's like, I choose to anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Well, a friend is just going to be a weakness in a combat situation. Like, you're going to be worried about them. If you don't have any worry, you can concentrate.
Pretty much his reasoning. I think his reasoning is somehow worse than that, but it's around that. Anyway, we're not talking about Andrew Tate.
No, but when you said fake martial arts guys, that's where my mind went. And so when I actually got into these fake martial arts guys, it blew my mind.
I think it's something I've always been aware of. Like there is that, the Simpsons kind of touch on the touch of death that Bart says he learns. Kids in school that said they were ninjas secretly, or they were doing ninja training.
Yep.
Did you have one of those?
I don't think I did, but
yeah,
maybe I've blocked it out. Maybe I was, wiped across the dojo so badly that I've blocked it out.
Yeah. And then action movies, martial arts movies, they're all kind of in this world. What got me thinking about it recently was I was watching some video of Vladimir Putin, who was doing judo, and he's clearly just not good at doing judo. He might have been once upon a time, but now is not that time. And he's flipped.
As a result, was he losing a lot of fights?
Yeah, you'd be surprised to say he wasn't. To know that he wasn't. I think it was the Russian Olympic team, and he was just kind of doing hip tosses. I can't remember the judo name. Anyway, he was doing hip tosses, and they were like, whoa, flying all over the place. And he's just kind of ambling around like an old man, because he's an old man.
Yeah.
And, that kind of propaganda, there's been one of the sort of theories of why he's doing so badly in the Ukraine war is he believed all this bullshit about them being incredibly tough and Ukrainians wanting to join back with Russia. And just, when you're thinking that you're even thinking that people might think you're good at judo based on this video, then it's not a stretch to believe the invasion part.
If we were to countenance the idea that Vladimir Putin doesn't realize that people are faking it when they lose to him at judo, it could be the case that he's surrounded by so many yes men that nobody has told him you shouldn't invade Ukraine. And I think that is also borne out a little bit from intelligence that's come out. There was an FSB guy that came out and said, we don't tell it. Nobody was telling him you'll lose the war if you go to war. Yeah, it's not to go to psyops with our fake kung fu show, but that's one of those tricky things. Though, when some guy on Twitter is doing a thread where he's I've talked to an FSB guy, it's how truthful is this?
Yeah. But I mean, as we know, increasingly, people even in the highest and most secretive things just talk shit all the time, and aren't great at things.
No.
People are still people, I guess is what I'm saying. Anyway, fake martial arts, I guess, where does this start for you, Cam? What's the starting point, do you think?
Well, the first sort of things that I looked at were these Tai Chi guys who are using the power of Chi, the energy of Chi, to... The main ones I was watching to begin with were the no-touch knockouts. And there'd be these Tai Chi masters, and they'd have all of their students in the dojo, and all of the students run at them one by one, and they just wave in the air, and the students go flying. And it's very effective. And that seems to be a little subgenre of video. These guys doing this stuff. Then there's a sort of spin-off genre, which is what happens if you put that guy in the ring with a dude who is not your student.
Yeah.
And is not a Tai Chi guy, but in fact an MMA guy.
Over the years.
Yeah.
And
so I watched a whole bunch of videos of a guy called what's his name?
Zhu
Yeah. Zhu Zhidong, who has his own YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Which you can check out. It's called Zhu Zhidong's Hot Takes, or as Google Translate got it as Zhu Zhidong's Spicy Commentary.
So I think he was ex-MMA guy and then a radio host and stuff like that, a social media guy.
Also known as Mad Dog. But yeah, for some reason he, I guess he got sick of taking nice trains and things, because he took it upon himself to challenge a bunch of Tai Chi guys to fights, these guys that were going around saying that they had mystical powers. And so he started challenging them. And I think I don't know if anyone was really taking up the challenge. So he was like showing up at their dojos and taking them on and things. But there's like a very famous video of him fighting against the Tai Chi guy, and he just lays him out with one punch.
Yeah, it's quite upsetting to see.
But it's like the Tai Chi guy is like an old man.
Yeah,
and he's like in his 30s, and this guy's like in his 60s. So even like if we were to take Tai Chi, the martial art itself, and we were to divorce it from any mystical energies, it still wouldn't have been a very fair fight.
Yeah.
But I'm also, I feel like when I'm watching this stuff, I feel like maybe I'm missing some sort of cultural thing where like when this fight is happening in the ring and he's knocking him out in 5 seconds, was it the same situation as that? This is a guy who's knocking people over with the power of his mind in the studio, but is he actually going into the ring to fight properly? But that's not how it's being presented on YouTube. I didn't know if
No, because you see a lot of them. They try and do their like moves, yeah. And while they're trying to do it, this guy just fucking smashes them in the face a few times.
Them, yeah,
and then it's all over with.
So he did that a bunch of times in like sort of high profile videos.
Yeah,
and then he tanked his social credit score as a result.
Yeah.
Because I think it was a bit of this guy seems to be a little bit of a, one day we might go on holidays to China, Luke. But this guy seems to be a bit of a firebrand. He's done a bunch of like pro Hong Kong stuff, which I support. You don't. I'll let you can have the holiday. I just won't go to China anymore. He's a bit of, and that's fine. That's your moral decision to do that.
What's happening here?
He seems to be a bit of a firebrand. Like he supported there was a writer in Wuhan who wrote a diary about like the early lockdowns that was quite big, but I don't think was especially appreciated by the Chinese government. And so he's been a big supporter of that.
I think I looked into her one time, and it wasn't as cut and dry as kind of we've been presented it as. She was telling the truth. And whatever, we don't want to. It's not what we're here for. But yeah, anyway, he's certainly anti-government or kind of pro questioning the government in China.
Yeah, he wasn't making friends with the government, and I think that then this stuff is also a little bit of a culture war, where all of these people were like, I think he was on a crusade to expose fakery. And there were all these people who are like, it seems like you're on a crusade to have a go at traditional Chinese culture. And so he was copping heaps of shit from people who were into that. And he also ended up...
He became really hated for it.
Yeah, like he got doxxed and people were threatening him. But his social credit score got tanked so that he couldn't like catch flights, couldn't go in first class on trains. He was made to, in one of his fights, I couldn't tell if this was a sort of disguise they had to do so that they could get it on TV, or if this was something that he had to do as a sort of concession, a humiliating concession before they would screen on TV, but he had to like paint his face as a clown before he went into one of these fights.
Yeah, I think
which he did, and then he just bashed the guy up.
Yeah, I think it was he was forced to do it as a condition of the fight, basically. I think.
Now, like, I get it. Like, you want to grind this guy down a bit. But also, I think you need to think ahead a little bit. If we're going to make this guy dress up as a clown, isn't that going to look worse that he then beat up our guy?
Yeah. No one wanted, like, when you're watching WWE, Doink the Clown came out. If he beat up Hulk Hogan, you'd be like, what's this storyline? Doink the Clown sucks.
I watched one video. It's like one of his famous fights was Ding Hao Wing. It was Ding Hao, who's a Wing Chun master. And I think this was a really highly hyped up one. And I don't know, I was slowing. It ended up being a draw between him and this guy, even though like throughout the video, he's just like throwing him on the ground, throwing him to poles and things. Mm-hmm. But like, I slowed down a few punches and kicks and things.
Mm.
I slowed down a few punches and kicks and things, and it didn't seem like all of them were connecting when the guy was like getting knocked around.
Are you saying there's a secondary thing happening here? And
yeah,
this
well,
is
I mean,
all fake.
Well, I feel like it was because why would you do like professional wrestling fakery that's fucking up your life?
Yeah, and also that same fight, there is the moment because he knocks this guy down like 6 times or something, and there is a moment where the ref he knocks the guy down, and the ref dives in between the two to like stop him hitting the guy.
Yeah,
it's like bloody what is it? A poo diving in front of the bullet. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe in some of these fights, like you'll miss, but the person's still going to like lose their balance or whatever. But yeah, there was just a couple of slightly dodgy looking hits, and I wondered if maybe this was a setup to try and claw back some of that social credit score. If we can have this fight, it'll come out as a draw, and everyone's friends again.
Yeah, but also he clearly beat the crap out of him in other moments during the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, he certainly an interesting one.
There was another no-touch knockout guy I saw who just sat in a chair, and people would walk up to him to fight him, and he would just like stroke their chest, and they'd fall down. But it's like this guy can't even be bothered to get up.
That's kind of the interesting thing, the cultural difference. So in China, they go and fight them. Whereas I think this guy was American you're talking about, or was he not?
Yeah. No, I think he was.
Yeah. In America, they just send like a local news crew to test it out. Because there's a few videos of local news crews or like National Geographic going to test out this fake martial artist, and then obviously it doesn't work.
Well, I saw one with a news crew like the Fox 5 or whatever, and he does because I think the idea is maybe it's like a pressure point that you touch and they'll go down. But he does it like on one reporter and nothing happens. But then I saw like some other video, and these are all great too because they're like from the late 80s, early 90s, so it's all that aesthetic. Yeah. But he like does it on this female reporter, and she's like, "You just hit me in the head."
Yeah, he's like,
it's supposed to be this no touch thing, and like her head snaps back, like. And I think the idea is that he's supposed to have done it with the power of his mind, but she's like, "You hit me in the head."
Yeah. He's like, I think he said like, you could feel that. He's like, "Yeah, because
you hit
me." That was good. So there's a video that you can kind of, if you want to watch a kind of breakdown of a lot of these as well, from Super Eye Patch Wolf, The World of Fake Martial Arts is the name of the video. I think that footage is on it, maybe. Pretty sure that one was. But he kind of traced all this back to another American guy called Count Dante. So he talks about, Count Dante is like, so he's the guy, or that's probably the reference in The Simpsons where Bart learns the touch of death. Is that like first season Simpsons?
Yeah, that's early stuff.
Yeah. He doesn't actually learn the touch of death. Spoiler alert. I think he's playing a video game. But Count Dante was this guy that he claimed he had a regular or an American name, sorry, but he legally changed his name to Count Juan Rafael Dante, explaining the name change by stating that his parents fled Spain during the Spanish Civil War and changed their names to obscure their noble heritage. Wikipedia here notes that the surname Dante is Italian.
Yeah.
not Spanish at all. So he said he was like doing some death matches in Thailand and China, and started advertising in comic books as the deadliest man alive. Deadliest man alive. You need to just mail order the world's deadliest fighting secrets, in which he outlined the dance of death. And then if you do that, you become a Black Dragon Fighting Society member. The Black Dragon. Oh yeah, and then Wikipedia has a little disclaimer here that the Black Dragon Fighting Society has no connection and should not be confused with the Japanese Black Dragon Society, an ultranationalist secret society during the 1930s and 40s.
No, don't confuse
those. Don't never confuse those. But at one point, I didn't write this down or note it down, but he went to another dojo, like a rival dojo, and they got in a fight, and like a bunch of people died as a result.
Oh no!
So he was pretty like, I think he seemed to believe that what he was doing was, he was actually the deadliest man alive.
Well, clearly he was somewhat deadly.
Yeah, that's true. But in the ad in the comics, he does talk about, I think he talks about murderous fingertip pressure using as murderous poison hand weapons. So it's kind of, that this was in the 60s, I think it was. So it seems like that was kind of the genesis for a lot of this. And I guess that's probably when martial arts were starting to make it into outside of Asia and into, America and other countries. So yeah, that's, you can see why it's probably right for that comic book world starting up. People like him are thinking, oh, I can, I know a little bit of martial arts. I can pretend to be a dragon.
People can send off their dime, and I'll send them a little packet.
Would you? All right, Cam, you're 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 60s. You're still Cam though.
Yeah,
and you're reading through a comic book. Yeah, you just like you're makes sense that you're there. This is just a normal.
Do I have knowledge from my adult life?
No, not at all.
And I have no knowledge of the year 2022.
No.
So let's say that 8-year-old Cam was, instead of being in the 90s, in fact in the 60s.
Yes, 100%. And you saw an ad in a comic book that was either for
Is this Marvel or DC?
DC at the time.
Okay.
And
I see an ad for the little things that you put water in the water, the little sea monkeys.
Sea monkeys? You got a sea monkey ad. You've got an ad for X-ray specs.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see people in their underwear. Or you've got an ad for Deadliest Man Alive. And you can be a secret dragon fighter.
I'm not going to send off for sea monkeys because I think weren't the sea monkey people white supremacists?
You don't know that at the time.
No, I don't have that information. I think that there's something sus. And that's not just like a. That Robert Eggers is giving white supremacist with his Viking movie. I think there was an actual Nazi aspect to this sea monkeys enterprise.
Oh, of course there was. X-ray specs, no.
No, that's even as an 8-year-old, I'm going to respect women. Also, as an 8-year-old, I have no interest in women.
That's true. I like how you avoided cancelling your hypothetical 60s 8-year-old self.
Yeah. No thanks. You can keep your girl germs. Thank you. I will take the Deadliest Man Alive lessons.
Yeah, I absolutely would have done that.
I want to learn the deadly dance of death.
My brother, for some reason, tricked me as well at this era when this would have been appealing to me. He had some sort of nunchucks.
Yeah.
They must have been clumsily made. I just remember seeing them as a kid. And he's like, I made them. I'm like, well, okay, cool, make me some. He's like, I can't. I can only make them in secret when no one's around. I'm like, yeah, well, I'll go, and then you can make them. He never did it, and I've never worked out where he got them from.
Were they homemade? Was this perhaps a poorly supervised woodwork class or something?
No, I think it would have been local street kids, as in local kids on our street.
Yeah.
We had I remember that street, there was a lot of...
The hard streets of Westport.
Or there was just like maybe a dozen kids between the ages of like 8 and 15, and no one had video games then.
Yeah.
So, there's going to be some nunchucks going down.
They had sticks, so it was going to happen.
Yeah. Hey, do you want to hear about ducks? I don't write this first.
Oh, hang on. Let me just... Speaking of deadly dances, Robbo, I did see in one montage of these guys, these fake martial arts guys, there was a deadly dance dude, but he had a combination of dancing, one of which was like a deadly river dance. So he's in like a dojo fighting a guy, and the guy's like coming at him with karate, and he's coming at him with river dance and just knocking him down.
The whole thing with river dancers, they don't move their arms. Is he flicking?
He's flicking his dicks.
So Michael Flatley might have been a spy this whole time.
He might have been.
Fuck, I knew it. I knew there was more to Flatley than what we saw.
Yeah, hidden depths.
Fuck, I wish I had seen that. I'm going to have to look that up later on. I think about Riverdance quite a bit. I think it's a fun phenomenon. I think I got high once and watched a bunch.
I think my grandmother had a VHS of it.
Oh, yeah, in the mid-90s.
Every now and then.
Yeah, in the mid-90s, there was like a huge push for like grandmas and baby boomers and people of, certain ages. We just fucking, this is great. This is entertainment.
Mm.
And then there was like spin-offs and tours and all sorts. Speaking of things that...
Isn't that weird, though, that generation now are like just on Twitter having their brains cooked?
Not all of them.
Not those same people. Like people who are our grandmother's age in the 90s, now they're on Telegram getting their brains cooked. They're contemporaries. They're modern contemporaries.
Are you saying we need to bring back Flatley?
Yeah.
To stop people getting cooked.
I feel like as soon as Flatley was off the scene, that's when QAnon took off.
No way. What about Andre Rieu, the 2010's Flatley?
Yeah, this is true.
Maybe he's kind of dropped off as well.
Yeah, he has dropped off, and I'm not sure if Andre Rieu had the power of a Flatley.
Oh no, Andre Rieu definitely had the power of a Flatley. Although I think Andre Rieu appealed to an older generation, but he didn't pick up the 50s to 60s. He was 65 plus.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Flatley, because you get a line of rhythmic tap dancing, and you can't help but get swept up, no matter what your age.
And it keeps you from turning over to Fox.
Yeah, you get a bit of a dude, fucking around on a violin with a silly look on his face. You got to be 65 and up to enjoy that. All right,
and by the time Andre Rieu is getting his hooks in you, like half of the country's lost.
Yep.
Anyway,
he's a slow burn. So, I want to talk about Dux. I didn't write down his first name, but he's the guy that Bloodsport's based on.
Okay.
Have you watched Bloodsport?
Like when I was a kid.
Oh, it holds up. I watched it not too long ago. It rules. But so he basically is this fake martial arts guy that said he, in the 80s, he went to a secret fighting thing in, I'm not sure where, South America somewhere, or maybe Thailand, I don't know, somewhere. A secret fight to the death, which is what Bloodsport is.
Yeah.
A secret fighting tournament. You got to go through the things, and he won it. He was the first white person to win it, and as a result, he was the first person to be allowed to talk about it. And so that's then, I think, at the time they thought Bloodsport was based on a true story.
Yeah.
Maybe in this movie they say that at some point, like in the end or the start. Anyway, and he's made a lot of other claims. He worked for the CIA. He keeps on saying he worked for the CIA, and they keep saying no.
Yeah.
No, I definitely worked, and I was recruited by the director.
Do they confirm or deny? We can't confirm or deny, or do they just deny?
They just deny. He does say,
that's a good sign that he didn't work for the CIA, I think. Or is that a good sign that he did?
Yeah, that's probably the best.
Wouldn't they deny?
That was Mr. Nice's defense. I can't remember that guy's real name, but he was a big drug smuggler in the 70s and 80s. And he got caught smuggling shitloads of weed or hash, and over a long period of time. And it's being done in America, and he's like, "Oh, I'm actually an agent for the CIA. Get them in here if you want, but they're not gonna agree because I'm so covert." And it worked. Like he put enough doubt in their mind that he got off a whole bunch of charges. He did end up in a lot of jails for a lot of time, but anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like if just before you move on, if your argument is I'm so covert that they will never say that I'm in the CIA, I would say you're not very covert if you're telling me this.
Yeah, I guess if you were that covert in the CIA, you had to just go to a normie jail.
Mm.
You'd be like, all right, cool, just send me to normie jail, and then on the way, you'd ring up your handlers and be like, hey, can you get me out of here? And they're like, oh yeah, of course, you're a CIA guy.
Send me to CIA jail. Wait, no.
Yeah.
Just let me out.
So then he's pretty widely discredited, but it was still going on, this guy. And with Jean-Claude Van Damme, he was the co-author of the 1996 film The Quest. This is from Wikipedia. So they made this film together, him and Van Damme, and then he sued Van Damme after the film's release for breach of contract on the grounds the finished film was too similar to the manuscript Enter the New Dragon, which the two had also written. So he wrote a film, Enter the New Dragon, with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Mm.
Then later on, they wrote another film called The Quest. The film came out. He sued Van Damme and said, these movies are too similar.
Yeah. That's partly on you.
Yeah, you got to take a little bit of the blame for that. Anyway, it wasn't a successful suing because he had audio tapes of an agreement with Van Damme that were destroyed in an earthquake. So he couldn't present the evidence.
I hate when that happens.
Another. This is the best one. So the tournament, the Bloodsport tournament, was the Kumite, and when he won the Kumite, this guy was presented with a sword, but he hasn't got the sword anymore because he sold it. Oh. No. This is more noble than just an earthquake, Cam. He sold it in a failed attempt to buy the freedom of a boat of orphans, whom he later rescued from pirates.
Oh.
So there you go.
Wouldn't just use the sword to free the orphans.
Yeah.
Rather than try to barter for them.
Yeah, with a sword.
Of course the sword might be.
I mean, it wasn't a good bartering. Oh no, he sold it in an attempt to buy the freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But then he ended up having to fight the pirates anyway.
Yeah. Should have just done that in the first time.
Yeah, and you would have had a sword. It would have been significantly easier.
Yeah, and then you could prove that you were actually a secret fighting champion. Okay.
Have you got any other of these guys, Robbo?
Yeah, I've got one more that I just want to touch on briefly. And look, there are a lot of these. You can look up fake martial arts. Other than the one I mentioned earlier, which I've just deleted off my sheet there, there's another YouTube channel called McDojo that details a lot of these as well, and that's quite an interesting watch. But this one, this guy, James Heydrich, he was doing a lot of moving paper with his mind and moving cutlery and stuff with his mind. And he went on the James Randi show, the famous debunker, and he kind of got around that by saying the studio lights interfered with his chi or whatever. But then another guy figured out how this guy was moving the paper, because one of his tricks was he would have a book open and the pages would turn. And this guy figured out that he was just using his breath to blow on the pages.
Yeah.
And they would turn. But he was really good at hiding what he was doing. And this guy figured it out and managed to work out and do it. And so he invited James Heydrich on the show, on this television show, said, hey, you should show me how to do it. And so James showed him. He's like, you're not going to be able to do it. And the guy did it. And James is like, his reaction's like, what? How's this guy doing it? A bit of a he was convicted. Oh yeah, so a bit of a bad dude as well, other than the blowing on paper and falling people. Is convicted for kidnapping and torture. He escaped 3 times, allegedly kicking through a concrete wall in a jail. He broke through gates of a South Carolina prison and finally pole vaulted over a fence in a state prison, which all seems like things he would make up.
Yeah,
but also don't mention to people that you're in jail for kidnapping.
Yeah, but like these are things that he would make up, but he's not in the prison anymore, so how did he get out?
Yeah, that's true. You got me there. He was also sentenced for a shitload of worse things because he was an awful, awful person. If you really want to find out what that is, James Heydrich on Wikipedia. But yeah, that was an interesting one. The final thing, Cam.
Yes.
So you know how there's that running joke of, this is my final thing. I don't know if you've got anything else.
No, all I've got is I saw a video of a guy like smashing bricks, and the TV host like went to do a joke one, like, oh, I'll just pretend to do this one, and then you do it for real. But because they were fake bricks, his hand just went right through it. He's like, whoops. That was my final one.
And yeah, we can't. I don't think I can overstate how many of these there are. There's also a whole thing with Steven Seagal. Lots of other podcasts and YouTubes have explained that over the years. So look up Steven Seagal as well. He's one of the pioneers or one of the most famous fakeries. But you know how people say you need to have your feet and hands registered as deadly weapons?
Deadly weapons, yeah.
Yeah, my feet are registered as deadly weapons. Apparently it's true. If you're in Guam and if you're a karate or judo expert or equivalent, this is, I can't remember the exact citation, and I cross-referenced this through many Guam legislature things, because everyone said, oh, this is actually true, oh my God. And then I the one they were citing was like, oh, that doesn't, it's just like a law wiki where people can upload anything. But no, I managed to find kind of original documents on the Guam legal and tax stuff. And the 62-100, and I think it's under like the health and safety overview. I think it's number 10 or 11 on the Guam list of legislature. 62-100, 62-10, and 62-102. Blah blah blah. Registration required. Any person who is an expert in the art of karate or judo or any similar physical or in which the hands and feet are used as deadly weapons is required to register with the Department of Revenue and Taxation. So you say you're a Guam and you're a karate expert, or even, you have to be an expert. You need to pay tax on your hands.
Yep.
So it's just a tax thing, really.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, well, another one.
Yep.
The final one on the McDojo Life channel. There was one of an old guy swinging a sword. You know how they do the sword grab thing, where people swing a sword and they catch it.
Yep.
Mythbusters did an episode about this. There's a guy that claimed he could do that, but he's like, at this point he's super old, like in his 80s, and he's got another super old guy swinging a sword at him, and he's like catching it and then like flipping the guy around the room. But like, because they're 80, they're just kind of awkwardly stumbling together very slowly. Oh, it's really quite sad.
So, Robbo, did you have like these guys that would like these Tai Chi guys who are like throwing people around the ring with their minds and then stepping into the ring with an MMA guy? Did you have like a theory on what was going on there?
I don't think so. I think
there's a lot of debate. Like, do these guys believe their own shit?
Yeah, I think so. What do you think?
And I think, I don't know, unless there's like some cultural thing we're missing, I think that, maybe there's like weird dynamics when you're a like Tai Chi master and you've got students. Like, I don't know if you're supposed to like bash up the master. So you've probably got to go along with some shit. But yeah, but if you didn't believe it, why would you step into the ring with a proper fighter guy?
Yeah. Why would you? Because getting punched in the face, no one really wants that.
No.
And the first YouTuber I mentioned, Rewind, I can't remember his name. I think he's a fighter. He's done martial arts before, and he kind of talks about when a big part of it is learning to be punched in the face, because getting punched in the face sucks, and it's quite discombobulating for most people. And he sort of slowed down footage.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, he slowed down footage of one of these guys getting punched in the face and being really confused and not knowing really how to react and come back from that. And he said, you can see, or his theories, you can see this is what it looks like for someone that's never actually been punched in the face before, and is just kind of realizing that, oh shit, this is a bad situation I'm in.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of these where it seemed like they hadn't been fought properly for a while.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they do believe their own. It's mass psychosis, right? You just kind of end up believing your thing, and then enough people go along with it that you just think, oh, I must be doing it.
Oh dear. Oh well, that's fake martial arts, guys, Robbo.
Yeah, I can't overstate. I know this. I've said this a couple of times already. Look up some on YouTube. It's a lot of fun.
If people want to find us, we are on Twitter at Hypothepod. We are on Patreon. Thank you to Tammy, our Cook $33 sponsor. Robbo, where can they get you? Behind the bar?
You can get me, behind the bar, 10 Linter Street, Westport, New Zealand. Shortjaw.co.nz. If you're in New Zealand, you can order beer and merch from our website. Excuse me. If you're in Australia and want some merch and want to pay an exorbitant amount of shipping,
you can do that too.
Yeah, we've got good merch. Sold a hoodie and 2 t-shirts today.
You can find Salty at Saltmarsh on Twitter and The Salt on Twitch. Even though he doesn't show up, we still plug him.
Yeah.
And you can get me at Sex and Hummer on Twitter. Nah Passaran is my radio show about the far right on 3CR, which you can also find wherever you get your pods. And my other podcast, Gather Around Me, is sort of back up and running. And that is the plan for Hypothepod 2, is to get back into the swing of things now that Robbo's settled down. He's finished draining all of the old beer into the sewers of Westport, and he's making his own new ones. We'll get back into it. Look, Cam, I will admit I took some time to watch a little bit of Alex Jones this week. So I feel like I'm turning a corner back into ready to dive in head first into some cookers. All right.
So maybe we can do some news next time.
Yes, next time.
All right, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Don't worry about a thing, except if all our world leaders are alien reptilians. I said don't worry about a thing, except maybe the fluoride in our water supply contains mind-altering drugs. Don't worry about a thing, except whether or not Port Arthur was a false flag operation in which to disarm Australia. I said don't worry about a thing. I accept you can definitely hear John Lennon say I buried Paul at the end of Strawberry Fields Forever. Ooh, don't worry about a thing, except not only did Bush do 9/11, but he also keeps the planes out in Area 51, which, let's not forget where all of the aliens are. Don't worry about a thing, except Donald Trump is clearly a woman and you're just blind if you can't see that. Why don't you open your eyes?